Welcome to Readiness Program for SSC students organized by DCB Yadadri Bhuvanagiri. Today is day 40 and for English it is day 13. Today we are going to learn how to combine the sentences using in spite of or despite and with no sooner than. So first let us see about in spite of, despite. In spite of and despite, they mean the same as though and although. So we already learned how to combine the sentences with though and although in earlier class. So in this session we are going to learn about in spite of and despite. So both in spite of and despite are prepositions. Despite and in spite of have the same meaning, but there is one difference. We don't use of after despite. They are used to connect to contrasting ideas similar to though and although. They are followed by a noun or a gerund. So now let us see structure 1. So this is structure 1. We place despite or in spite of in the beginning and then followed by a noun and then followed by a main class. Look at this example. There are two sentences here. He was hungry, yet he did not eat. So these two sentences are contrasting with each other. So he was hungry. Though he was hungry, he did not eat. So let us combine these two sentences using in spite of. So the answer is in spite of his hunger, he did not eat. So let us see what changes we did here. So we placed in spite of in the beginning of the sentence and then we changed this he into his. If there is she and we change it into her. If there is they, we change into their, and then we changes into our, you changes into your. Similarly, I changes into my. The second change is we changed hungry into hunger. Hungry is adjective, so we no longer use them. We no longer use it after in spite of. So the structure tells you that we use in spite of before a noun. So we change hungry into hunger. Hunger is a noun form of hungry. So then we remove this full stop. So in place of full stop, we wrote comma here. Then we remove it. This word is not required here. The meaning of it is conveyed by the word in spite of. So you need not use it here. And the rest follows. So in spite of his hunger, he did not eat. So this is the answer. So this is how we combine the given two sentences. And so let us see how to combine the same two sentences using despite. It is very simple. Just remove in spite of and in place of in spite of, you write despite. So despite is not followed by of. You don't write of. Just simply remove in spite of. Just write as it is. The rest you write as it is. Then the sentence becomes despite his hunger, he did not eat. Now let us see example 2. So look at these two sentences. It rained heavily, yet we continued the match. The answer for this is In spite of heavy rain, we continued the match. So let us see what changes we did here. So we started the sentence with in spite of. Then look at this, rained heavily. Rained is a verb and heavily is an adverb. So this phrase is a combination of both verb and adverb. So the best possible noun form for this is heavy rain. So we replaced this rained heavily with heavy rain. So because as for the structure, this we need to write noun after in spite of. So we started this sentence like this: in spite of heavy rain, we continued the match. So we removed this full stop and we changed full stop into comma here, and then we removed this at. It is not required here. The meaning is conveyed in spite of. Then the rest of the sentence we wrote it as same. Then replace in spite of with despite. Then the answer will be like this: despite heavy rain, we continued the match. So always remember that don't use half after despite. Now look at structure 2. So in this structure we use gerund after in despite and in spite of, and after gerund the main clause follows. Let's look at this example. We arrived late, yet we got seats. లేట్గా వచ్చినా కూడా సీట్స్ దొరికాయి. అదే టూ కాంట్రాస్టింగ్ ఐడియాస్. సో లెట్ us combine this with in spite of. It's very simple. So we write like this: in spite of arriving late, we got seats. So what changes we did here? We changed this arrived into arriving. Arriving is a gerund here. And we removed this full stop and changed it into comma. Then we removed it, and the remaining part of the sentence we wrote it as this. So then again with despite, so just we replaced in spite of with despite. Now in spite of arriving late we got seats. Despite arriving late we got seats. This is how we write. This is structure 2. Now let us see structure 3. So in this structure we write having after despite and in spite of, and then after having we write noun and then followed by main class. So this example makes it clear. So look at these two sentences. She has a car, still she travels by bus. Generally we use this structure when we find has, have or had in the sentence. So you can see here she has a car. So has is there here. So we change has into having. So let us see how to write this. So in spite of having a car, she travels by bus. So we began the sentence with in spite of. Then we changed this has into having. Then we changed it full stop into comma. Then the word still, we don't need it. You need not write it because the meaning is conveyed in spite of. So in the previous example, we removed it, and here the still also means the same. The meaning of still is conveyed here by the phrase in spite of. So we remove this still. Then followed by she travels by bus. So the rest of the sentence we wrote it as it is. Then it became like this: in spite of having a car, she travels by bus. So this is the answer for it. And writing with despite, so you know it, just replace in spite of with despite, then it is done. So this is the answer for it. Despite having a car, she travels by bus. Now let us see structure 4. So this is structure 4. Despite or in spite of is followed by being and then followed by an adjective, then followed by main class. So look at this example, it makes it clear. So we already took this example while discussing structure 1. That means these two sentences can be combined using structure 1 and also using structure 4. Let us see how to combine these two sentences using structure 4 now. So in spite of being hungry, he did not eat. So we began the sentence with in spite of, then we changed was into being, then hungry. We did not change hungry into hunger here because, so look at the structure, being is always followed by an adjective here. So while combining these two sentences, so hungry is an adjective, we wrote hungry as it is. So we changed full stop into comma here and we remove this word yet and we write he did not eat as it is. So now the sentence becomes in spite of being hungry, he did not eat. So generally we use this structure when we find is, was, am, or were followed by an adjective. So let us see how to write this with use with the despite. It's very simple. Just replace in spite of with despite. Then it becomes despite being hungry, he did not eat. Now let us see how to combine the sentences with no sooner than. This is an important structure. It is a different one. In no way it is related to in spite of or despite. This is an important structure which you learned in class 9. Now let us revise how to combine the sentences using this structure. We use no sooner than to describe a situation where one event happens immediately after another. So we generally use no sooner than when there are two actions. We place no sooner at the beginning of the sentence which expresses the earlier action. And we place than before the later action. We use the past perfect tense in the first class and the simple past tense in the second class. So now let us see some examples. So here is the first one. There are two sentences here. The thief saw the police, he ran away at once. So two actions took place here. So let us find out which action took place. The thief saw the police. This is the first action that occurred. Then after seeing the police, he ran away. That means he ran away at once. That is the second action. So we place no sooner had before the first action. So this is the answer for the above question. No sooner had the thief seen the police than he ran away. So let us see what changes we did here. So we placed no sooner had before the action that occurred first. So generally we use past perfect tense for the to express action that occurred earlier. So we write the later action in simple past tense. So as for our structure, we write no sooner had before the earlier action. So we began this sentence with no sooner had. Then we changed this capital T into small t. Then I changed saw into seen. Saw is V2. So we changed V2 into V3 because the verb form after had should be V3. Then this full stop, we removed the full stop. So in place of that full stop, we wrote than. Then capital H changed into small h. Then the rest remained same. And we removed this at once. So because the meaning of this phrase at once is conveyed in no sooner. So you need not write at once again. So we removed it. We are not writing it in the answer. So now the answer is no sooner had the thief seen the police than he ran away. Now let us see the second example. I went to bed, soon I fell asleep. So I went to bed, that was the action that took place earlier. So I fell asleep, that is the action that took place later. So we keep no sooner had before I went to bed than before I fell asleep. So let us see the answer. No sooner had I gone to bed than I fell asleep. So let us see what changes we did. So we wrote no sooner had before the earlier action. Then since went is V2. So we wrote gone in place of went. So gone is V3 for went. Then we removed this full stop. There we wrote than. So we remove this soon completely because there is no need of writing soon, because the meaning is conveyed here in the phrase no sooner. So we remove it. Then this is the answer. No sooner had I gone to bed than I fell asleep. So here in the first sentence you can see here had plus V3 we used, that means past perfect. So we used past perfect in the earlier sentence, and here fell, this is V2. So that is simple past. So remember, no sooner always is written before the earlier action, and before the later action we write than. So remember this. And now it's time for assignment. We already sent you worksheet 13 in PDF file. So complete the worksheet based on the structures we learned today, and a Google form link also is given in PDF file. Just click on the link and answer all the questions. Try to get the maximum marks. And we come to the end of the session. Thank you all.